Hello and welcome back to our CCaaS and Teams series. I'm joined again by Dan and Rob, and today we're going to be discussing integrations of a contact center and the importance of doing that with Microsoft Teams. So Dan, Rob, would you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, of course. I'm Robert Jones. I work in the new business sales team in Gamma's public sector team.
Thanks, Rob. And I'm Dan Lloyd. I'm the channel director at Cirrus. It's a cloud contact center provider and been partners with Gamma for the last 5 years.
Excellent stuff. So Microsoft Teams, my favorite subject. However, how does it integrate with contact center? What is the importance of it? What are the benefits? I know that was a couple of questions there. Take whichever one you like and run with it, but we'll start with Dan.
Yeah, I think I'll take the importance of integrating the contact center with Teams, and then maybe Rob, you can talk around Teams itself. The importance of integrating with Teams is primarily around the user experience. So we talked in previous podcasts around hybrid working about how things have evolved and changed and how we want it to be easy for an agent to sit down and log in and start their work. If you integrate with Teams, people are so familiar with that platform now, they're comfortable in navigating it, they don't need a lot of training to use it. If the contact center is there as well, they have that peace of mind. So they get up in the morning, they put the laptop down, they open it up, single sign-on takes them straight through, they just change their availability and they start to work. And then when they need to access a file, which is saved in files, they can do that from the same screen. If they need to collaborate with some their peers, they've got the chat functionality available there as well. And then just go back to the contact center after that and carry on their work. So it just makes life a lot easier for the individuals to interact with the contact center.
Really? And I mean, from that perspective as well, in terms of the actual Teams integration, maybe for those who don't know, what does it actually look like from an agent's perspective, actually within the client itself?
So from a Cirrus point of view, the way we approached our integration is keeping everything as simple as possible. So in the left-hand side, where you've got all your apps inside Teams, you'll find the Cirrus icon. That's where the contact center sits. That's where you'll get access to your voice calls, your emails, your SMSs, WhatsApps, whatever media you take. All your report is done through there. And then that just links into the DDI that you're associated with your team. And that's how you get your voice calls in. So keep it really simple, but really effective in the same way.
Yeah, it seems really seamless. Mm-hmm. And Rob, from a public sector perspective, you're on the coalface of all of the bids that come in around the contact center and the team side. What are the benefits that you see or that are reflected from other customers with the contact center integrating with Teams?
The benefits are Teams is already in your organization. You're already using it for chat, email, and internal calls. And you're also joining external calls. You're probably doing video calls already to collaborate with external partners. So using Teams for voice and integrating it with the contact center is just the next step. And the major benefits that brings to you is that you're now using network infrastructure as opposed to on-site infrastructure. So you can actually switch off your on-site SBCs. You can stop using the zip channels that are connected to them because you're now using Gamma's network grade SBCs, which have built in a resilient format, load share across 2 data centers, and then they resiliently connect into Microsoft. So your agents can be working from home, or they can be in the office or on a third-party location, and they will get that call wherever they are.
And I suppose it takes away some of the IT support required because there's not a UC platform there as well. They don't need to create a new user for that. Active Directory will create the user for the Windows, the same way it'll create the access for Teams, and the same way it'll create the access for the contact center. So the maintenance and the day-to-day running of the platform just seems a lot easier.
Yep, and I think from what you're both saying, I think the key thing coming through from it is that it's a single pane of glass. Regardless, it's one client, one solution as a whole. And to be honest, that actually kind of leads very well into the next point. It is one solution as a whole, but not everyone is going to be using a contact center. So what are the benefits from your experience of, let's just say, someone who isn't a contact center user, having an integration between them and an agent who is a contact center user?
Yes, I think depends from organization to organization of how much interaction happens between back office and front office primarily. The contact center being the front office, back office being the teams use it. The integration primarily sits around the visibility. So is that agent available? They logged in. Can I get this detail to them, and back and forth? And that could be via a call that you can hand off via the Cirrus platform to a DTI within Teams, or like we said before, just the chat functionality. Like an agent that sits in the call face may not know the answer to the question, but by using the single interface, can then chat to somebody in finance and say, how do I go about doing this? That information is put back in real time, and that conversations with the customers then, or citizen, is then resolved really quickly. So having that one place is perfect.
Yep.
And then if you need to transfer a call to the back office, so for example, the call's come into the contact center and it needs support by another team that doesn't sit in the contact center environment, you can easily transfer the call via Teams, and it's straight into that other team to take the call, and there's no drop-in service. And the other really good point is if that call is being recorded, it will continue to be recorded when you transfer the call to the back office team.
Correct. And having that continuity in that information is important, because again, you can then use our analytics to go and review it. You can also monitor it through your QA process as well. And you make sure from the start of that conversation to the end of the conversation, that citizen has been looked after. And that's the most important thing around what we're talking around here, is making sure the citizens get the right support and service. I think another good point there of having a single pane of glass.
Yep.
It's talked a lot around different podcasts and different medias, but it's still really, really important. We don't want to have agents that have to go to several places to get information, or to manage their WhatsApps, their SMSs, their emails in different solutions, because every time they go somewhere else, it's a drop in efficiency, or there's a loss of information or loss of continuity, as Rob mentioned there. So having that single pane of glass for everything you possibly need just makes life a lot more simpler and a lot more streamlined.
So if you've got Teams integrated with your contact center, and you're now using network grade infrastructure instead of using local infrastructure that is basically provided by you as the customer. So you're not on point to keep the lights on, that your partner, who is, if you've chosen someone that is the network owner, is now on point to support and ensure the solution is resilient. In the case of Gamma, we also give you an online tool, which is brilliant, because it allows you, if Teams for whatever reason went down, or the contact center went down, the online tool that we give you access to is called Ziptron Call Manager, and it's a business continuity tool, and it allows you to be able to divert your calls to mobiles. It allows you to put messages on to the platform so you can play them to the callers. And it isn't just about business continuity about the platform, but what is happening in the local area. Say, for example, you're in an area that floods, that the bank is burst and your offices are flooded and you can't get in there. You can put a message on that platform saying, we're really sorry, we know that you're impacted by the local flooding, so are we. But most importantly, your call is important to us and we will get you as quickly as possible. And you can play any message. It doesn't matter what the issue is, but it could be a local incident.
And then that's a great thing about having a supplier like Gamma, who's going to provide the Ziptron Call Manager, the SBCs inside for Teams, the Teams are a routine, and then Cirrus as a contact center, is that it's an on-net solution. So no matter where the fault lies or where the problem is, there's a way to ensure that citizens are getting the service they need. And if you had them separate, if the contact center sat somewhere else away from that Teams platform, then you're going to have a roadblock. So
agreed. And talking about roadblocks, it goes back to that conversation that we talked about in the first podcast, which is about one supplier, one platform, because for ease of support and management. Because if there is a fault, and let's be honest, there occasionally are faults, you can't get around it. It happens to everybody. But by choosing the right partner is actually where you save time and money, because they can then deal with the end-to-end fault, and they can actually truthfully tell you where that fault sits and how they're going to resolve it.
Yeah, that's a great point. And our owner, Jason Roos, he's a big advocate of this. When we talk to our customers, is that there are going to be problems. No supplier in the world can say, as a cloud service, you'd never get an issue. Okay, you just can't do it. It's going to happen at some point, whether that's on our side or because, like you say, the banks are a river burst and there's a problem.
Yep.
What you're looking for is how people react to that. That's the most important thing. And, from a technology standpoint, we make sure we've got resiliency. Our RPO and RTO is down to 15 minutes, which is one of the best in class. And we've got a team that offer similar to support Gamma 24/7, 365. to make sure when these problems happen that we give the best possible service to make sure you're up and running. And that may be that we put a divert in, like you mentioned. It may just be that we do something different to make sure we're back online. But that's the important bit, is how you react to those problems.
So all of this is pretty much coming together. Yes, the user experience is important, single pane of glass, easy to use tools, etc. But I think, like you say, the most important thing is having a partner who's able to deliver that whole package, not just someone who's bringing a contact center, not just someone who's got a bit of experience with direct routing. It's got to be somebody who goes deeper than that, someone who's got years and years of actual Microsoft Unified Comms experience like Gamma do. The partnership between us and Cirrus in terms of the support ongoing for customers if there is some sort of issue, to keep that continuity going, but also the integration as well with these two solutions, and having that single pane of glass, like I say, and the integration between the front and back end.
Yeah, probably a question back to you two, something I don't know a lot about. What's the quality standards and security around Teams?
Okay, so Gamma has quality standards and security in place for our Teams environment. As you'd expect, we have all the ISO accreditations in place, like ISO 9001, 14001, 27001, and the good old 22301.
They make it really easy to read off, don't
You're just calling numbers. Just saying numbers.
But it is numbers, but they're very important numbers. And what that does is it gives you as the customer confidence that the right security is in place. And most importantly is if you also take on services for other organizations, i.e. Another organization is subcontracted to you to provide vital services, it will be a tick box as part of their procurement that you have the correct accreditation and security in place. And Gamma has that in place and can prove and give you the certification. And also Cyber Essentials is also important, which Gamma can tick that box. We have the standard and the plus. And then from a Microsoft point of view, we're a Microsoft partner with all the gold accreditation. And it isn't just having all the tick boxes, it's having the experience of past deployments that we've done. So for example, Gamma has over 10 years plus experience of deploying Microsoft Teams. We've been there right from the early days when it was Microsoft Link, right through to now where it's Direct Routing and Operator Connect being the latest edition. And depending on what you need, Gamma can deploy whichever Teams direct routing service you need, whether it's a managed service which integrates with third-party services, or it's Operator Connect where it's closed down but gives you some really good benefits for managing the solution.
Why would an organization choose Teams? That's always sticking in my mind. Like, why do you choose Teams? And there's got to be a simple way to answer.
It's because, to answer that question, in my honest opinion, they choose Teams because they want to take advantage of the investment they've already made in Teams. They may be on E3 licenses or E5 licenses, and depending on what license they are, they may need to bolt on the telephone system so they can use Teams for the back office and the contact center. But it's the security. So if you've got E5, you can then take advantage of the security license that's included. And also Microsoft are always evolving the licensing and their stack.
Because I think you kind of build up to answer the question, why integrate your contact center with Teams? To first do that, you've got to consider why choose Teams to begin with. And and what you just said there, Rob, is really, really valid points.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Looking at it from that angle makes a lot of sense for sure.
So you make a decision to go, okay, I'm going to take advantage of your licenses, the security elements, that you choosing a partner like Gamma who's going to have that 10 years experience of doing it. And then everyone always goes, oh, what about the contact center? Those guys in the other room. And they go, then they come to you guys and go, well, we want to take this decision to use Microsoft and to use this Teams UC platform so I can get rid of what I had before. But now I've got this customer service department I need to look after. And they go, well, there's the importance of working with a partner like Cirrus is, we've got that Microsoft accreditation, we've got that Microsoft integration, which means that you can take all those great things that Gamma offer you, bolt on the Cirrus elements on top, and then that's when you start to get the benefits of hybrid working, easy to train, confident, comfortable agents, all technology in one stack. And then that has all those other benefits around your efficiencies, around your better experience, your CSAT scores go. And so there, to answer the question, why is it important to integrate your contact centers? For all those reasons, really.
Yeah. And I think it's also important kind of to bounce off of what you said, Dan, around starting from the beginning is, why would they want a contact center in the first place if they've already got Teams? Yes, they may have something already in place, but something that I'm sure you see quite a lot as well, and we see as a whole, is that yes, they've adopted the Teams platform itself, they've got their licenses, they want the telephony side of it, that's great. However, they don't know whether they need a contact center or an additional contact center or something like that. So it may be the case that yes, we would like IVRs, yes, we would like this, but there might be something that pushes that boundary a little bit to the point where, yes, okay, Gabba, we need a contact center.
And sometimes that's not even a technology. Sometimes that's just a way of thinking.
Yeah.
I don't have a call center. I don't have a contact center. Well, what are those 50 people doing providing the service to your citizens? That is a call center in there. And yeah, there are some great technology inside Teams, and that's advanced. And you'll know better than I, Tom. In the last 3 or 4 years, there's lots of more reporting. There's a lot more apps you can include in there.
Yep.
Some organizations can take Teams out routing with those add-ons and provide service to the citizens.
Yeah,
it's when you want to go that one step further, that's when you're partnering with people like Cirrus. So that's when it really comes into its own. And also, I think remembering that Cirrus is purely contact center. It's all we talk around every single day with all podcasts or webinars or in opportunities we talk about our customers, only contact center. It's what we love. So, when you work with an integrated platform like Cirrus, you're going to get the experience of what we do inside contact centers. And some of that is around how you deal with different queries, how you come across different objections, and how you have set objectives for your organization, how you come through them. So that's not just the technology, that's just that experience as well that we can share.
When customers are looking for a contact center provider and they also have Teams, ideally, or not even ideally, it's critical that the partner that they choose, i.e. someone like a Gamma, or definitely Gamma, the partner that they choose has the relevant security accreditations. And although we can put the contact center partner forward as our own with those accreditations, they have to mirror what we have already to avoid any kind of issues down the line where there may have been a bit of misinformation and said partner might not have a certain accreditation, for example.
Correct. And the underlying network, the voice network and the contact center need to mirror image each other on security.
Contact centers aren't simple things to deploy. They're very complex. There's a lot of moving parts. The customer service in any way, shape or form has to be on more or less as much as possible with very little downtime. What do you move first? What are the most important channels that customers reach out to you? What part do you have to put in first? Is it the voice? Is it voice and email that you put in first? And then you add slowly pieces in.
That all depends on what the organization's got today. If you have multiple different channels of communication, then you can deploy them, generally at the start of that project. If you're introducing new digital channels like WhatsApp, web chat, then you want to do that over a phased approach once the agent's confident and comfortable in the new platform. And more importantly, you've got business processes around that, because you will handle a web chat differently to handle a phone call. And where you usually pass the phone call from one place to the other, that doesn't exist anymore in a web chat. Or the way that you write back isn't the same way, because you don't want to have a long message. You want to really condense information down. So when we're about deploying technology, it's not necessarily how quickly can you deploy the technology, it's how ready can we get your business or your organization. That's the most important thing. From the voice side of things, though, really, which is our bread and butter, is how we all started off, we've got a really interesting way we deploy. And our challenge is to go live with your voice on your busiest day at your busiest time. Because when we do that, we'll know if there's a problem. If we do all the work at the weekend and sit there and wait till Monday morning when everyone logs in, there could be a problem. We just don't know. So we're able to trombone the calls so we can then release slow amounts of calls into the contact center at your busiest time. When your agents are active, they just had the training, they're excited, they're ready to go. Then they get a call through, then they get an email through, then they're interacting with the platform. And that's how they learn. If you do it when it's quiet, they can sit there twiddling their thumbs, wait for things to happen, forget what to do. Hand goes up, supervisor has to deal with it. So yeah, for us, voice will always be first. We get through when it's really busy, get people excited about it, and we're able to move the calls around to make sure everything's working as we expect it, pull it back if it's not. For the other channels, it's about when your organization's ready. Have you got the process? Have you done the training? Do you know what to do in this scenario? And as part of our delivery, we'll help you through that. We've got experience of delivering those, and we'll make sure you are ready when you go live.
Yeah, it's good that voice is going first as well. I think as we've touched on throughout this, if an organization already has teams in place, like we said, voice goes first for us. However, if the people on the other side are already used to using Teams voice already, when moving into a new contact center and a Teams integrated one, if voice is the most seamless part because they're used to it already, that can only help with adoption.
Yeah, and how do you answer a call on Teams? You press the toast pop-up. When the contact center is integrated, you answer the exact same way, toast pop-up, click answer. So for the agent, it doesn't really change. What will change slightly is the UI. As that call's answered, the citizen's name will pop up and all the information through the integration with the CRM will be there, and they're able to handle that conversation without leaving that Teams UI, which again makes them happy and makes it easier for them to help the citizens out.
Brilliant. Did you have anything to add to that point?
No, nothing to add.
No, that's good. I didn't think so. I thought you were going to say something before I did there. So some really good points there. And I think just to summarize everything, I think the key points that we've taken from that are that customers would want, and for the best experience, we would give them a platform that has a single pane of glass, i.e. they've got their back office Teams calling and also their contact center calling integrated with Microsoft Teams itself. The platform itself is also very familiar to them, potentially, if they've already adopted that, especially over the pandemic as well, where it sort of real boom. To add something into that and as simple as something like voice and then complex as a contact center, it can only help with adoption if it's something that they're already used to. Aside from the other points as well, with Gamma and Cirrus being partners and having that much smoother deployment, we've done this many, many times for many customers. The security and compliance being identical between us as well to ensure that level of security is in place. Having the security between both the contact center and the Teams platform itself and the parity between the two is important, obviously, to ensure customers have the peace of mind that both of the solutions are going to be as secure as they can be going forward. So also increasing service levels as well. So having, like we've said, the integration between Teams and the contact center would likely increase productivity just purely because it's one single pane of glass. Looping back to what we said before, everything is all in one place. Thank you again, Dan and Rob, for joining me on this session today. On the next one, we'll be discussing why it is more efficient to have a single supplier for multiple channels.